The movie opens with a man struggling through an eerie, dense forest, desperate to find a way out. His face reflects pure panic as he moves forward, even though night has already fallen. As he pushes through, he stumbles upon an ominous sight, a skeletal fairy figure with a sign reading "Point of No Return," implying there's no way back. Fear overwhelms him, and the atmosphere becomes darker. Birds scatter into the night sky, leaving him exposed in the middle of nowhere. With no shelter in sight, he scrambles up a tree, but fate isn't kind. He falls from the high branches. Just before he loses consciousness, something or someone drags him away, yet the source of this presence remains unseen. His screams echo through the darkness, then silence. The scene shifts, and 6 days later, we meet a young woman named Mina, who lives in the city. Mina is isolated, with no close family except for a sister. She works at a pet store, and her boss asks her to deliver a parrot to the zoo. Planning to make the delivery the next day, Mina takes the parrot home. The next morning, with the parrot in tow, she sets out for the zoo. But as she walks down a long road, she accidentally takes a wrong turn and ends up in the heart of the same foreboding forest where the man disappeared. Driving cautiously through the thick woods, Mina quickly realizes she's lost. Forced to leave her car, she ventures further, hoping to find someone who can guide her out. The forest seems alive with tension as darkness settles in and the birds suddenly scatter, leaving her in an unsettling silence. She senses a presence, and to her shock, she spots an old woman running through the trees. Desperate, Mina follows, calling out for help, but the woman doesn't stop. Eventually, the old woman halts, turning to Mina and warning her to run fast if she wants to survive. Following the old woman's cryptic advice, Mina reaches a hidden, strange little house where the woman leads her inside, locking the door behind them. The house isn't ordinary. It's filled with eerie decorations and, most notably, a massive mirror. 2 others are inside, and they remain silent when Mina asks what's happening. The old woman, Madeline, finally tells her to stand before the mirror, explaining that the Watchers are coming to see her. Strange sounds soon fill the room as if unseen entities are surrounding them, clapping as if in eerie approval of Mina's presence. Madeline cryptically remarks that the Watchers are pleased. The unsettling night passes, and in the morning, Madeline explains that these Watchers only appear at night, meaning they can move safely during daylight. Mina, anxious to escape, tries to leave, but Madeline warns her, "There's no way out of this forest. You must be back here by nightfall, or you may not survive." With every moment, Mina realizes she's trapped in an inescapable cycle, where each night she must confront the unknown Watchers, and each day, the forest grows darker, with no hint of an escape. Mina, despite Madeline's warnings, presses onward with her parrot, determined to escape. As she ventures further, she encounters the same eerie point of no return sign, a reminder of the dangers ahead. Although fear grips her, Mina decides to follow the sun, hoping it will lead her out. Yet, no matter how far she walks, the forest seems endless. Suddenly, the ground shakes beneath her, as if the forest itself is alive. Terrified, she retreats to Madeline's house, feeling defeated. Back at the house, Madeline consoles her, explaining, "You're not the first to try and fail. Many have attempted to escape, only to be drawn back." She goes on to describe the forest as a predatory force that lures souls in, creating illusions and mirages to drive them to despair. Madeline cautions Mina, "This forest is a relentless hunter, and we are all its prey." She shows Mina a ring of signboards, each marked with "Point of No Return," scattered deep within the woods, half a day's walk from their home. Madeline warns, "If you see these signs, turn back immediately, or you might not find your way back." Curious, Mina asks who placed the signs, and Madeline reveals that a professor created them years ago while studying the strange phenomena in the forest. As night falls, they return to the house, preparing for the nightly ritual as the Watchers begin to stir. Tonight, Kira, another survivor, performs a dance in front of the unseen Watchers, claiming to enjoy it. Unlike the others, Kira seems to thrive on the thrill of entertaining the mysterious entities. The group isn't required to interact with the Watchers every night, but when they do, they must never turn away from the unseen eyes watching them. During the day, life is hardly easier. They rely on the forest for food, hunting cautiously to avoid disturbing the Watchers. The next morning, Mina and Kira set out to gather supplies. Mina takes the opportunity to ask Kira about the Watchers. Kira explains, "Madeline believes they observe us, studying our every move, but if we see them, we'd lose our minds." She leads Mina to a series of pits scattered throughout the forest, warning that these pits serve as the Watchers' daytime resting places. At night, they emerge, roaming freely. Kira reveals that she and her husband have been trapped here for 6 months. Her husband ventured into the forest in search of an escape route, and she remains hopeful he'll find a way back. But Mina soon realizes that Kira's husband was, in fact, the man we saw at the beginning of the story, the one who vanished into the forest's depths. Back at the house, Madeline gives Mina 3 rules for survival. First, never open the door at night. Second, always face the mirror during the night. Third, stay clear of the pits during the day and remain in well-lit areas. But curiosity gets the better of Mina that night. She decides to test the Watchers by listening at the mirror, hoping to catch some hint of their presence. When she hears nothing, she turns her back on the mirror, defying Madeline's warning. Almost immediately, furious banging erupts from the other side of the mirror, and cracks begin to form. Madeline rushes to Mina, urging her to face the mirror to appease the Watchers' anger. Thankfully, the mirror calms, and the night ends without further incident. The next day, determined not to waste her life in captivity, Mina accompanies Daniel on a hunt. She shares her suspicions, telling him, "I think Madeline's just feeding us stories. We should check the pits ourselves. There might be a hidden way out." Daniel hesitates, uncertain whether to believe her, but Mina's resolve sparks a glimmer of hope, or a dangerous temptation, within him. Together, they plan to confront the mysteries that Madeline's rules have kept hidden, unaware of the true dangers lurking just beneath the forest floor. Daniel, eager to escape the forest, agrees to Mina's risky plan. She ties a rope around her waist, and Daniel holds the other end, ready to pull her out if anything goes wrong. Carefully, Mina descends into the dark pit. As she reaches the bottom, she finds an unsettling sight: scattered human belongings, like bags, watches, and clothing. It's clear these items once belonged to others who got trapped in the forest. Quickly, she gathers as much as she can, and with Daniel's help, they haul the items out. Just as she's about to climb out herself, she spots what looks like fingers reaching out from deeper within the pit. The sight is so chilling that she scrambles to get out as fast as possible. Back at their safe house, they hide the origin of their finds from Madeline, claiming they discovered the items in the forest. But Madeline, who has been here far longer than any of them, isn't fooled. She suspects they ventured into the pit and presses Mina, demanding to know what she saw. Mina, however, keeps quiet, unwilling to share what she experienced in the darkness. Among the items they recovered is a camera, which Mina and Daniel repurpose into a makeshift CCTV camera, setting it up outside to catch a glimpse of the mysterious Watchers. Madeline warns them against it, cautioning that they're crossing dangerous lines, but her words fall on deaf ears. As night falls, they wait eagerly to see the Watchers through their camera. But instead of a distant figure, they're startled by a knock at the door. Through the camera, they see what looks like a pair of human legs. Even more unsettling, the person outside speaks in the voice of Kira's husband, whom she believed had found an escape. Overcome with hope, Kira rushes to open the door, but Madeline stops her, insisting that this is not her husband. Skeptical, Kira decides to test the person outside by asking a question only her real husband would know the answer to. When the figure fails to respond correctly, they realize it's one of the Watchers imitating him. Angry at being denied entry, the Watcher smashes their camera in retaliation. All of them are paralyzed with fear as they hear the Watchers moving around the house. Suddenly, the Watchers begin pounding on the mirror outside, their force strong enough to nearly shatter it. Remembering Madeline's instructions, they gather in front of the mirror, which seems to appease the Watchers, causing them to retreat. But the terrifying encounter leaves everyone shaken. The next day, Mina and Daniel decide to confess to Madeline about their visit to the pit. Furious, Madeline scolds them, warning them of the dangers they've unleashed. In a symbolic act, she throws all the items they took from the pit back inside, sealing the hole as best she can. She informs Mina that, because of her actions, escape is now even less likely. Though Mina is disheartened, she clings to hope, determined not to give up. As time passes, the seasons shift, and winter blankets the forest. The harsh cold makes survival even more challenging, and their mental states begin to deteriorate. Every day, Mina ventures out, stubbornly trying to map the forest, convinced that it might one day reveal an exit. Her map is incomplete, yet it's her only glimmer of hope in a situation that grows increasingly bleak. Food becomes scarcer, and the freezing weather leaves them weak and hungry. the once close-knit group begins to fray under the weight of hopelessness. With the Watchers looming each night and hunger gnawing at their minds, Mina realizes they're fighting more than just a physical prison. It's a psychological one as well, and the forest is wearing them down. Still, Mina clings to the belief that there's a way out, hoping her growing map will lead her to freedom before the forest claims her sanity. Daniel, in a fit of frustration, locks himself and Kira inside the safe house, leaving Madeline and Mina stranded outside as night approaches. Desperately, they knock and beg for Daniel to let them in, but he refuses. As darkness falls, the two women are forced to seek shelter beneath a dense tree, hoping it will provide some cover. The eerie sounds of the Watchers begin to echo through the forest, sending chills down their spines. This time, the viewers also get their first glimpse of these terrifying beings, tall, thin, with hollow eyes and sharp, predatory movements. Emerging from their pits, the Watchers head toward the safe house in search of humans to observe and possibly devour. When the Watchers realize Mina and Madeline are not inside, they start searching the forest for them. As soon as the creatures move away, Madeline and Mina seize the chance to rush back to the safe house. This time, they pound on the door until Daniel reluctantly lets them in. Once inside, the two women frantically recount their experience. Shaken, Madeline finally reveals the truth. She didn't get stuck in this forest by accident. She came searching for these creatures, believing them to be the fairies described in ancient texts. But what she discovered horrified her. They were not gentle beings but cunning predators, capable of mimicking human traits and appearances. Madeline confesses that one of these creatures even took her form, observing and mirroring her movements. She warns the others that these beings learn quickly, adapting to human behavior in their pursuit of dominance. Just then, there's a knock on the door, accompanied by voices eerily similar to theirs, trying to lure them out. Knowing they can't open the door but aware that the Watchers are strong enough to break it down, the group scrambles to find a hiding place. Daniel suddenly notices the uneven ground beneath the carpet and, upon lifting it, discovers a hidden bunker. They waste no time climbing down and sealing themselves inside. To their surprise, the bunker is stocked with supplies, food, technology, and shelter. Curious, Mina turns on a computer, hoping for answers. Inside the computer is data revealing that a professor, Dr. Martin, had created the bunker. He knew about the Watchers and intended to study them. His research indicates that the creatures were once fairies, living peacefully with humans until they were betrayed and trapped in the forest. Over time, they lost their magic and wings, transforming into these monstrous beings who now prey on anyone unfortunate enough to enter their domain. Dr. Martin had lured people here under the pretense of research, using them as bait while he observed the creatures' behaviors. As Mina explores further, she discovers video logs from Dr. Martin detailing his encounters. One video shows him with a different type of fairy, a kind one who retained some magic and did not kill him. Over time, she learned from him, even forming a bond. However, they eventually clashed, and Martin's tone in later videos grows darker. In his final video, a weary Dr. Martin admits he planned to end both his and the fairies' lives, feeling that his ambition had gone too far. Before signing off, he leaves a crucial message: there is a way out of the forest. According to him, if they follow the direction in which the birds fly at dusk, they'll find an exit. He urges whoever escapes to destroy his research, acknowledging the danger of uncovering certain mysteries. With a renewed sense of hope, the group prepares to follow Dr. Martin's directions. Emerging from the bunker at dawn, they find their safe house completely destroyed by the Watchers. Determined to leave before nightfall, they set off, watching the sky as evening approaches. To ensure they follow the correct path, Mina releases her parrot, trusting it will fly towards safety. As they make their way deeper into the forest, they come upon an old grave. Madeline somberly explains that it serves as a reminder of the fairies' betrayal, once powerful beings with wings and magic, now trapped forever in this cursed place. With the birds as their guide, Mina, Daniel, and the others press forward, hopeful that they'll finally escape the clutches of the forest. They've learned that some secrets are best left buried, and as they walk, they vow never to look back at the place that nearly claimed their lives. As they journey toward freedom, the group stumbles upon a stream just as the sky dims, signaling nightfall. They realize that by following the stream, they might finally escape the forest's grasp. Just as they board Dr. Martin's old boat, Daniel spots his old companion, John, lying injured on the bank. Rushing to help, Daniel leaves the others behind in the boat. But something is off. John's behavior is unsettlingly strange. Before Daniel can react, it becomes clear that John isn't who he seems. He's a fairy, a watcher who has taken human form. Horrified, the others witness the fairy transforming into Daniel's likeness, leaving a sinister mark on his forehead before vanishing into the shadows. They can't save him. Heartbroken, they continue along the stream, finally crossing its boundary and escaping to safety, as fairies are unable to cross flowing water. After a harrowing journey, they reach the city, leaving the cursed forest behind. Cutting to the next scene, we see Mina at Dr. Martin's university, fulfilling his dying wish to destroy all evidence of his research. Just as she's about to delete the files, she discovers a hidden trove of information. The professor's research reveals that humans and fairies once coexisted, forming families and even having hybrid children who possessed both human resilience and fairy powers. Shockingly, she uncovers a connection she never expected. Madeline, the woman they met in the forest, was actually the professor's wife. But there's more. Madeline wasn't fully human. She was a fairy herself, with the ability to alter her appearance. Stunned, Mina rushes to Kira to share the news. She explains that Madeline, the woman they encountered, was really a fairy disguised as Dr. Martin's wife. In reality, the professor's wife had passed away years ago from lung cancer. Driven by grief, Dr. Martin sought out a fairy who could take on her appearance, wanting to live with her again, even if it meant bending the laws of nature. But as Mina reveals this truth, she realizes something chilling. The woman she's speaking to isn't Kira, she's Madeline in disguise, and the real Kira lies unconscious nearby. Madeline, her identity unmasked, prepares to silence Mina for good. Before she strikes, she confesses, "I was always different from the other fairies. I can survive in daylight, which made me an outcast. They banished me from the forest." But Mina interrupts, realizing the truth. "You're more than just different. You're a hybrid, a blend of human and fairy blood. That's why you can live among us." As Mina reveals this, Madeline begins to transform. Her feathers and magic, long lost, return, shimmering with renewed power. Awestruck, Madeline takes to the skies, leaving Mina behind, finally free but forever changed by her journey. Weeks later, Mina, still haunted by her experiences, retreats to her sister's home, seeking solace. She tells her sister about the forest and confides, "I feel like that fairy is still out there, watching me." Her sister tries to reassure her, dismissing it as lingering fear. But in the final scene, a mysterious girl stands just outside Mina's house, watching from afar. It's Madeline, now blending seamlessly into the human world, observing in silence as she starts a new life among them. The story concludes, leaving an eerie question lingering. Is Madeline a friend, or is she still harboring secrets too dangerous to be known? With this, the movie ends. If you liked this video, then do not forget to subscribe to the channel after liking the video.